Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a wonderful day. And above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken and I are back. How's it going, Ken?
Going well.
That's good. We are back with another episode on Band Spotlight, featuring the one and only Tears for Fears. In episode two, we are going to be taking a look at an album that heralded a much well-deserved comeback for the band. An album that, since its release in '04, has gone on to be viewed as one of their best albums, aside from songs from the Big Chair, that they have put on the market. We are talking about 2004's Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. Hell of an intro, isn't it? Now, just to give you a bit of a background, picture it, if you will. 1999, Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith reunited, beginning with texts and emails, and a phone call later happened, and they reunited for a dinner, and they decided to patch things up and start working on material for a new album. They started to work in earnest on Everybody Loves a Happy Ending in 2000. They started recording in 2001. The recording ended in 2004. However, there were forces at work. They had parted ways with Universal Music. They were going to be signed, sorry, to Arista Records, which they were for a brief time. And in fact, a pressing of Everybody Loves a Happy Ending was done on vinyl, and they thought, okay, we're on a major label, we're good to go. However, L.A. Reid was ousted from BMG Sony and from Arista. Him being the one that wanted Tears for Fears on the roster, because of that, of the politics involving the ousting of L.A. Reid, the band were ousted off of the roster. So for a short while there, they were in limbo. They had the album ready to go. It was not meant to be. They signed a deal with New Door Records and also Gut Records and released Everybody Loves a Happy Ending through that new record deal. Released on September 14th, 2004, produced by Tears for Fears and their associate and co-collaborator Charlton Pettis, who writes a good amount of the tracks on Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. Upon release, Everybody Loves a Happy Ending reached number 46 in the US charts and number 10 in the UK charts. There were two singles released from the album, those singles being Closest Thing to Heaven and the title track, Everybody Loves a Happy Ending, backed with Call Me Mellow, which to me would make it a double A side, but I'm not going to go there. There were two versions released of Everybody Loves a Happy Ending, the standard 12-track version and a 14-track version. The 14-track version of Everybody Loves a Happy Ending is available, or was available, sorry, for the British, Italian, and French markets. Okay. The standard 12-track version has an overall playing time of 54 minutes and 35 seconds. It is the band's sixth studio release. It wouldn't be until 2022 that the band would release The Tipping Point. But that's another topic for another show coming up. Now, before I give my opinion of this album, Ken, what is your history with Everybody Loves a Happy Ending?
Thank you, Armando. As I mentioned in a previous video, after the hurting, I kind of took a break from Tears for Fears because when Sowing the Seeds of Love came out after I'm sorry, Songs from the Big Chair. My apologies. After Songs from the Big Chair came out, then Sowing the Seeds of Love. I bought Sowing the Seeds of Love, and I was expecting, I guess, Songs from the Big Chair Part Two. And Seeds of Love isn't Songs from the Big Chair Part Two, and I
No,
just didn't. I it My expectations were a bit let down. That's not to say the album isn't good, it's just my expectations were out of line. So, about 10 years later, I decided to jump back in. I think I heard maybe a couple of tracks off of it. It's like, whoa, this is a damn good album. And so, got into it. Then, of course, um, Smith leaves the band. Orzabal does two Tears for Fears album, which are technically solo albums, um, which are very different from the albums previous. I really kind of to put those two albums together. It's almost like a double album. Raul and the Kings of Spain and Elemental. Um, then Everybody Loves a Happy Ending comes out, and you know, I heard the title track of it. I'm going, okay, well, this is a little bit um epic, so to speak. Very Beatlesque. It's got a lot of psychedelia in it. Um, and so I went that direction and listened to it, and was very, very pleasantly surprised because I didn't have any expectations this time. I was listening to it with more of an open mind. And yeah, this is one of those albums for me that it's almost like every time you listen to it, you hear something new. And this prompted me to go back to those two Smithless albums, Elemental and Raoul, and give those a listen too, with there again with more of an open mind.
yeah,
Um, so this really album really opened me up to just listening to Tears for Fears without the expectations, and which has made me a huge Tears for Fears fan in this current day. So
mm,
and it's interesting because I look at it, it's like there's these large spaces of time between various albums. It's to where it becomes like, okay, um, uh, uh, this is almost like a comeback album, just like
yeah,
um, Seeds of Love was almost like a comeback album because there was that time span between that and Songs from the Big Chair.
yeah,
And now, a couple of years ago, when The Tipping Point came out, we weren't expecting to ever hear anything from Tears for Fears again. Well, Tipping Point is a comeback album. It's just
yeah,
amazing. This
yeah,
band is just amazing.
yeah. And just to reiterate a point, the tipping point was in motion in terms of writing and recording since 2017.
Yeah,
And I knew since 2017 that they were going to be doing a new album. And I'm like, when's this bloody thing
when
coming
is it?
out?
Yeah,
And the story of that is they were signed to back with Polygram Universal, and they decided to leave, and they originally signed a contract with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers at the time were signing acts like Duran Duran, Adam Lambert,
yeah,
both of which have left Warner Brothers, by the way. And so they wanted to sign Tears for Fears. They wanted to beef up their roster. Well, Universal approached Warner Brothers and said, "We want to release this album as along with the back catalog. Would you sell us their contract?" this album. So Warner Brothers gave in, sold back the contract to Universal, and Tipping Point is released through Concord Records through Universal. Who knew? You know, so there's a lot of limbo going on here, right? Back and
Yeah.
forth. So, yeah, because I'm sitting there thinking it's 2018, 2019. When is this thing coming out? You know, oh, we're almost finished.
So you nabbed it when it was released automatically?
Yeah, unfortunately, a little mini rant. There's bonus tracks available on Tipping Point
Yeah.
that I want, but am I going to pay $55 for a Japanese import? Hell no. I'm just saying. You know, enough said. Moving on. Now, back to everybody loves a happy ending. There has been much praise for this album and much criticism for this album. The praise is this is pop perfection, pop confection. This is the Beatles' This is Tears for Fears, sorry, Sergeant Pepper. This is their Dark Side of the Moon. And then on the flip side of that very heavy coin, you have too lush, too dense, too much instrumentation. There's not enough breathing room for the instruments to really soar. A, B, C, D, and E, and F, and G. What is your take and your history with this release overall? I mean, we can go
Well,
through track by track. It's fine.
yeah. I'll cover the generalities and then we can go through tracks.
Yeah.
Um, it is dense. There are layers in this album that are just like I said, I listen to it, and I keep hearing things I didn't notice before, or it strikes me a little bit different ways or whatever. Um, yeah, it's got a lot of those psychedelia at flavors to it. There's um, you hear backwards tapes, guitar solos played backwards and stuff like that. You've got songs like Everybody Loves a Happy Ending, which is it's a mini suite, is what it is. It's got
Yeah.
these several different movements to it,
Yeah.
almost like side B of Abbey Road. Um,
Multi-section. Yeah.
you've got elements of it that's very McCartney-esque, Paul McCartney-esque.
Yeah.
Um, some of these songs have these whopping choruses um, that remind you of their hit "Shout," but it also reminds you of "Hey Jude," where you've got a 4 or 8 bar simple phrase just repeated over and over again, the kind of thing that everybody joins and sings along with.
Mhm.
Um, you yeah, there's a lot here. Yeah, it's very dense. I'll give you that.
Mhm.
But um it's not for me, it's not overcrowded. It's layering in which you can, like I said, multiple listens exposes multiple sounds, multiple emotions, feelings.
Yeah.
If you want something that's very stripped down, then go back to the hurting, or especially go back to Elemental and Raul and the Kings of Spain. Those are
Mhm.
much more stripped down, much more guitar centered. There's a lot of electronics used on this, but not in the same way that the hurting was. These are synthesizers and electronics that are used very wisely and in a much broader sense, almost orchestrally, so to speak.
Yeah.
In which
Yeah.
one of the best songs this album actually uses orchestra. And but anyway,
We'll get to that.
so I guess it depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Some people like dense. Some people prefer stripped down. So it's like, okay, well, the negative Nellies, they're right, but it's just not their bag. But they can't judge it for others for being that way.
Exactly.
Um, and this is one of the things that I love about Tears for Fears. Uh, the individual albums are very, pun intended, individual.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and after this, you come to the tipping point, which is very electronic, almost electron 80s level of synthesizers out the wazoo, um, which works. I wish it were a little bit more guitar oriented, but that's okay because if anyone does it right, it's going to be Orzabal and Smith because they seem to knock it out of the park for me.
Hmm. Yeah. They get a lot more right than they do wrong.
Sure, for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. Like you said before, they tend to they like to experiment.
Hmm.
And, and for me, their experiments work a majority of the time rather than not work. We're gonna jump into this album, the tracks.
Yep.
Mm. I'm gonna I'm gonna add to something that I said before, and maybe you'll agree too. Everyone says, of a band, this is this band's Sergeant Pepper.
Yep.
This is this band's Dark Side of the Moon. This
Yep.
is this band's A Night at the Opera. Fair and valid.
Mhm.
I think there's going to come a day when a band is going to release an album and then someone is going to turn around and say, this is their Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. You see where I'm going?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think because for me, my history with this album, yeah, it received hype when it was released. Closest Thing to Heaven as a single, everywhere. Did I give this album the attention it deserved at the time? No. Am I kicking myself in the ass ever since? Hell yeah. I think that this album, I mean, okay, let's go through the songs.
Yeah.
Okay, it starts off with the title track. Um, psy- Psychedelic in spots, multi-section, lush arrangements, subtle use of horns, nice acoustic guitar and bass on this. Like you said, a mini epic, a mini suite
Mhm.
for the start of the album. You go into Closest Thing, it segues into Closest Thing to Heaven. Pop confection, nice use of subtle guitar, hand claps on the chorus. I
Yep.
mean, this was the first single for me. Then they go into Call Me Mellow, upbeat, melodic, catchy chorus, wonderful guitar passages, beautiful cello flourishes on the chorus
Yeah.
that I hear. This to me is just a really feel good song,
It is.
right?
It's
This
one of
is,
my favorite songs from them. And you know what it reminds me of? Remember the Laws? There
yeah,
she goes. It's got that jangle to it.
yeah,
And I love
yeah.
me some jangle pop.
Oh, I
Oh
know
yeah.
you do. I know you do. Uh, Track four, Sighs of Sorrow, which dates back to the 1990s.
Yeah.
That Orzabal wrote this track, and he wrote it, and they would perform it live. And Gaylon Dorsey, who
Mhm.
perform bass player with David Bowie, toured with him at this point with the band,
Yep.
and would do the vocal on it
Hmm.
along with him. Chris Smith does the vocal in this. Just I'm hearing like you hear the programmed drums that come in
Yep.
as the first, you know, as the first tempo. And then I
Hmm.
hear what I call a counter tempo on guitar and vocals that come in. So you've got that sort of rhythmic drum beat that come in,
Yeah,
but then you have another counterpoint kind of tempo that comes in to complement it and sort of go
yeah,
with it. Uh, it's oh my God, you know,
sure.
I mean, and just great harmonies on this. Again, texture galore,
Hmm.
a nice use of fuzz guitar
Hmm.
on this. Who killed Tangerine? Who the fuck killed Tangerine? I think should have been a single,
Yeah.
you know?
This is one of those psychedelic songs on the album that I love so much.
Yeah. And then, great, nice, soft vocals, from Orzabal. And then you have that, I call it, I guess you say, like an ascending string pattern that comes up, that sort of wave of strings that come in at
Hmm.
2 minutes and 11 seconds,
Hmm.
and it just like sends it into another
Yep.
section of the song, and you hear the hand claps, and when they're singing, when you think it's all over,
All over.
it's not over, it's not over. So, and they had those the chant that comes in
Yep.
on the chorus.
Yep.
What the
That's what
hell
I'm
am I?
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the Hey Jude element,
yeah,
where
yeah,
you got the clapping and everyone singing, and you just kind of, so
yeah.
good.
And then you have, the quiet ones,
Hmm.
which I mean, okay, what is your take on that song? I mean,
The quiet one,
sorry, I've been
this,
talking too much.
no, no, no. The quiet one retains that the Orzabal only albums, from the 90s.
More rock
Um,
oriented, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and and the lyrics, it's your life, don't just collide with the waves. Um,
yeah,
yeah, strong production. It's got that strident quality to it. Guitar driven. Here you go. It does have the synthesizers in it. I suspect that he probably wrote this. I don't know for sure that he wrote this earlier because this is one of the few songs that he is the only songwriter credited
listed,
on
yeah,
this.
yeah,
So this might have been an earlier one. Um, but yeah, this is one that's reminiscent of Elemental and Raul and the Kings of Spain.
yeah,
It's one of the more rocking ones, so
yeah,
to speak.
yeah,
Just a four part band have guitar center.
yeah.
Um,
What
yeah,
I like about it is, when it goes into the chorus, when he sings, "It's your, it's your life, don't collide with the waves." He just soars with the vocal.
yes,
And he
yes,
holds the note. He
yes,
sustains the note
yep.
so strong that you're like, whoa. And
Orzabal
then,
does not get enough credit for his vocals
oh,
or his guitar playing, for that
oh,
matter.
oh, sweet Jesus, no, no, I
Yeah,
need a cigarette after this one. And
and he can still do it to this day too.
yeah,
Scary.
yeah, and you know, and then you segue into, it goes into who you are. Uh, One of the songs written by Kurt Smith and Charlton Pettis,
Yeah.
3 minutes and 41 seconds. Could be another single.
Hmm.
There could have been at least four singles released from this album. And
Right.
there was another single that we'll get to that
Yeah.
was released in Europe as a single because I've seen
Yeah.
a CD single for it.
Okay.
I do believe, but we'll get
And
into
if
it.
I'm not mistaken, this song was previously recorded by Smith on one of his solo albums, I think.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I,
I
I
think
wouldn't.
so.
I wouldn't doubt it. The Devil, Take Me Now. Because you know, um,
That's
tr
another one that's reminds me of the Orzabal 90s
yeah,
from those
and
two solo, quote unquote, solo albums. Yeah.
yeah, and it's you've got a nice repetitive piano passage on the intro. It's a nice mid-tempo pace
Yep.
track. There is backwards masking effects on it,
Yep.
and
Psychedelic.
And when they do the drum fills, you do hear a spiral effect on
Sure.
the drum fills. So even when I mean, yes, there are layers and textures there, but I don't think it's overly used.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's there to detract from what's going on musically. I think it's there to
Yeah.
enhance
Yes.
what's happening musically.
Yeah.
And
And so that criticism of no room to breathe does not apply to every song on this album. So,
yeah, I don't
you
think
know,
it,
it's yeah, this is a playful song, but yet it's a bit dark,
yeah, yeah. And his vocal
which we
just,
know he can do. Yeah.
oh, he can do it like no one's business. Well, I mean, let's not forget the basis of the name Tears for Fears has to do with the therapy of primal scream
Mm-hmm.
therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Hello,
Mm-hmm.
it's in the name. It's in the name of the
Yeah.
band. I mean, you're gonna get a bit of the dark edge of the sort of melancholy and darkness to their lyrics and their arrangements, but not to the point where that it's again that it overtakes the music at all.
Right.
Um, and then you get to track 9,
Ugh.
and I'm correcting what I said. Secret World was not released as a single. They had it as the title for a live album that they did live in Paris, I do believe. So it wasn't a single. My apologies. But Secret World clocking in at 5 minutes and 12 seconds. Well, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
This is filet mignon.
Oh,
This is with full strings, orchestra and band, um, arranged by Paul Buckmaster, which most
conductor, yeah.
music
Mm,
fans would recognize.
yeah.
This is um, kind of a little bit of Tin Pan Alley meets 70s AM radio. It's almost like a little bit Burt Bacharach style. Um,
Yeah.
it's broad as heck in scope, huge.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Athemic is got personal lyrics. What was it? And when you're crossed, we can say that we're lost. We light a candle for their innocent bones. Oh, it's
And
just a
if
sweet, it's just broadly sweeping and epic,
yeah, the verse,
incredibly ambition
yeah,
fulfilled.
yeah, yeah.
Ambition fulfilled.
This is their a day a day in the life.
Yes, that's just what I was thinking. Yeah.
You know, the chorus, and if we're crossed, we can say that we're lost in the middle of nowhere, they can like it or not.
Yeah.
And if we're wrong and we end up alone,
Hmm.
we'll light a candle for their innocent bones.
Yeah.
Whew.
Incredible lyrics. Incredible lyrics.
The 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 verses begin with this is the garden, this is the steeple. I hear the crowd before I ever see the people. Yours
Hmm.
for the asking and for the
Hmm.
taking. There is a power in the vacuum we are making.
Yeah.
And what he's and okay, uh, first of all, did I cut you off with what you were going to talk about for
No,
this song?
no.
Are you sure? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. For me, this is the focal point of the album.
Hmm.
This is the cherry on the top of the cake, on the sundae, on the
Yep.
whatever. For me, obviously, the lyrics, you're talking about a relationship,
Hmm.
man and woman and woman, whatever. For me, I'm taking it as, and I said this before, as a father, a new father bonding with their child
Okay.
and saying, this time is for you and I.
Hmm.
we will be together for the rest of our lives. Okay.
Yep.
Whatever's going on outside that front door or outside our window, forget it. What matters is what's going on between you and I right now, the bonding that we're going to have.
Hmm.
That I will be there for you for anything, and that you can depend on me,
Yeah.
and that whatever is happening outside that door, we'll have each other, and that's all that counts.
Hmm.
You know, as long as you know that in your heart and in your soul, you can get through anything. I mm, I
You look
cry
through, yeah, we talked about this on
before.
our video on Raoul's and the King of Spain,
Yeah.
talking about his lyrics. This is so far apart from the lyrics that we're hearing on top 40, you know,
Pop. Yeah. Rock. Yeah.
you know, it's just there's just no comparison. This
Hmm.
is what lyrics used to be back in the olden days when I was a young curmudgeon. Um, so, it's just it does more than just service these lyrics. The way he writes does more than just service the music.
Yeah.
This is poetry. This is, oh gosh, um, this is stuff
I would
that you
agree.
can do what you just did. You just said to me, this is blah blah blah. It's not just flat, one dimensional. This is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. But the incredible music continues.
That's right. We still got three more tracks.
You have Killing with Kindness, another 5 minute, 25-second
Yep.
piece. What is your view on this track?
Yeah, this is another one that is reaching for the sky, to be epic in scope and stuff. Um, Yet uh, it's very grand and it's very hooky.
Hmm.
You know, the whole thing with killing someone with kindness.
Hmm.
Um, uh, yeah, that's pretty diabolical right there. Just the title.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, this is great. This is one of the tracks that's credited to Orzabal and Smith, along
Hmm.
with Pettis. We mentioned before that uh, usually on Tears for Fears album, whoever they have on keyboards in the band also is allowed to contribute to the songs, and on this one is Pettis,
Yeah.
and he played some guitar on this too. Um, yeah, one of the longer tracks, and it doesn't seem like it's a long track.
No.
It's like with these songs, I don't think anything is longer than this on the album. I don't think.
No. No.
Um,
No songs are
Even
longer than 5 minutes. No.
yeah, and it's like so comparatively small tracks compared to say Prague or a lot of other bands,
Yeah.
and they fit so much into that in a good way.
Yeah.
That how long is the album overall? 55, did you say?
54:36. Yeah.
54:36. To the fact that you put this album on and it seems like 15 minutes later you're done. You just fall into this vortex of incredible music that
Yeah.
time loses, you know, reality.
Exactly.
Um,
This becomes your reality for the next 54 minutes and 36 seconds. Because you don't want to miss any of the songs. It's like,
that's right.
what am I, what, I just, I'll go back and play it again. I I
Yeah,
get
did I
it.
just forget to go to the bathroom? Why is it? He, and when he gets into the chorus on this "Kill Them with Kindness," he's got that edge in his voice.
Yeah, yeah, because it go
It builds. They're so good at taking something small and just building and building and building. And that's the way this is because it
yeah,
starts off rather subtle,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it just builds like crazy. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, you've got the textured synths, the shimmering
Yeah.
guitars, the use of what I'm hearing is Mellotron on it,
Hmm.
and that's just it. They're using analog, I guess you'd say that could be analog equipment too. They're using live instrumentation a good amount of the time as well, and it's also like you said, multi-section,
Hmm.
because when it goes into the chorus, it just builds and builds and builds, and it just soars into the chorus, like with Killing with Kindness. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's
And then it pulls back.
pulls back. Yeah, it pulls
Ugh.
back. And then there's a lot of switching back and forth between the verses and the choruses on all of these songs, on a good amount of them, I should say. Sorry. Um, After Killing with Kindness, we have Ladybird, track
Hmm.
11.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, Again, your view on this, because, if I talk too much, if I get on the run, then
No, that's fine. If I remember correctly, um, uh, Smith brought into rehearsal the chorus, and Orzabal added the verses.
that's
So
right.
this is one of those where there are distinct sections of each of their songwritings. Um, and it quotes a nursery rhyme, Ladybird, Ladybird, during the chorus,
Yeah,
which I think is more of a British thing
yeah,
than a US thing.
yeah.
Um, Here you got another one of these big, um, a lot of aspiration in this songwriting and production. and But this is just really uh, good, uh, polished adult pop. Yeah, it's very, very, very catchy. Um, yeah, it's great.
Mm. Hmm. And then the standard edition of the album finishes with Last Days on Earth, another 5 minute plus
Mhm.
uh, master stroke,
Yeah,
5 minutes and 41 seconds. I'll just go through my notes here.
yeah,
It's got what I call a music box intro,
yep.
strong bass passages on this,
Hmm.
more of a soul vibe to it,
Hmm.
very sultry vocals done by Roland
Yeah,
Orzabal, double tracked in spots
yeah.
on the verses, gentle guitar chords, and great string flourishes. And for me, what I'm hearing is more of a Barry White-esque vibe to the whole thing.
Hmm.
I'm never going to give you up, that kind of
Yeah,
feel to it.
yeah,
But it's got such a sophistication to it
yeah.
and a
Exactly.
sultriness to it that it's just, oh, it's a good way to end.
Yeah, it's and that the middle section. Oh, the middle
Yeah,
section is just so good in this.
yeah. It's like
You know, it's usually in rock and roll you have verse, chorus, verse,
bridge.
chorus, chorus, or they'll
Yeah,
sometimes they'll throw a bridge in there, which they don't do so much anymore.
yeah,
But Tears for Fears, Orzabal in particularly in his songwriting, really does not, tie himself down with even the songs that's just choruses and verses and a bridge in there, as we've talked about, like the opening track that's a mini suite. He just takes it where no one would expect it to go.
yeah,
And the thing about it is he definitely does not stick with regular chord progression and structures.
No.
which as a musician, I find that incredibly difficult to do,
Yeah.
because there's just certain logical, tonal, chordal patterns, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of music is just reminds you of other music that came before it.
Yeah.
But no, and he's been doing this for 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
This is one of
true.
the few bands that I have followed for such a long time
Same here.
that still strikes me. Usually at some point, me and a band will go like this, and then one of us will veer off into another direction.
Yeah.
Not these guys.
No.
So, yeah,
No.
I'm really curious to see what they're going to come up with next. But
Well, it's funny. I was reminded of because we were talking about Secret World. I got so wrapped up in what I was talking about that because we're talking about the Beatles and Paul McCartney.
mhm.
Uh, Secret World, there's a an instrumental break where there's use of trumpet, right?
Yes,
You know,
yes,
with like a marching
yes.
time on the drums.
Hmm.
And when they do this track live on Songs for a Nervous Planet, you hear Roland Orzabal singing "Let Him In" from Paul McCartney.
Yep.
Someone knocking
Yeah.
on my door,
Yeah.
somebody ringing a bell.
Yeah.
You know, uh, do me a favor, open the door and let him in. Uh, that's what he's doing, and people are just eating this shit up. They're just like, he went there. Okay, so
I know.
they're acknowledging he's
Yeah.
acknowledging the influence
I know.
and the homage to what came before.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right. That's right.
beautifully so.
Let
Uh,
me ask you something real quick. You were talking about
yes.
the um the I think it was a European edition
Yeah.
of the Tipping Point that they had extra tracks. Are
Uh-huh.
those the tracks that ended up on Songs for a Nervous Planet? Songs for a Nervous Planet had 4 studio tracks on it.
Yeah. No, no, no. These are different.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, these are different. Um, yeah, I know. It's hard to keep up with
Wow.
everything they release. But yeah, the British version had of Tipping Point had one additional track.
Okay.
The German pressing two additional tracks. The French and whatever, additional. It's like, pardon me, but I'm like, bitch, please, what are you doing?
Okay.
Like, what
I'm
am
gonna
I
have to do
listening
some
to?
digging then. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now the as I said, the standard version of Everybody Loves a Happy Ending ends with the 12 tracks with Last Days on Earth. The British, Italian, and French editions of the album have two additional tracks. One is called Pulling a Cloud, 2 minutes and 48 seconds, co-written by Gail Dorsey.
Okay.
And the 14th track is a track called Out of Control, 5 minutes and 8 seconds. I don't know if you've heard, have you heard those two songs?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can check them out on YouTube, both editions of the album. I'll give you my take on this. Pulling a Cloud could have been on the album. It's a beautiful acoustic guitar led track. Uh, what they do with the lead vocal from Orzabal, it's a very simple melody. What they do with the lead vocal is they split it between the left and right channel. So when you've got cans on your ears, like I do right now, is what Roger Taylor calls them, cans. Um, you're basically surrounded by Roland Orzabal on lead vocal, and it's just a beautiful melodic piece of writing that you can imagine they're just sitting at a kitchen table over a cup of coffee, and he's got his acoustic guitar out with a notepad, and they're just strumming this out, working out the parts. And it's a song that would come together, say, within 20 or 30 minutes, right? Now, Out of Control is a much more guitar driven track. Uh, However, you have calm guitar chords on this. Again, strong bass, layered instrumentation, build of mellotron on the choruses, nice use of organ, and again, a great melody on this piece.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, why these two songs were not included on the standard edition made available worldwide, I'll never know.
They probably couldn't have fit it on a single vinyl.
Vinyl, no, but CD, yeah. That is the album. Everybody loves a
Okay.
happy ending overall.
I'm gonna check those
Um,
out.
I like. There's a lot going on this album,
Mhm.
musically, uh, lyrically. There's a lot of going on here.
Yeah.
What do you say again to those detractors that say, okay, there's too much here. They're trying to overdo it.
Um, I really don't know. I would probably ask them for examples of what is normally in their wheelhouse. I suspect maybe that I mean, if they're fans, just fans like you and me, then you know, Tears for Fears just might not be their thing, and so therefore it's easy for them to poo-poo. It's like there's a lot of artists and albums that just aren't my thing. That's really easy for me to just, make generalities like that. There's some albums that you like immediately. For me, there's albums that I will like them. There's three categories. The ones I like immediately, but then tire of very quickly. There's the
I hear
ones
you.
that don't strike me quite right, but after repeated listening, I come to love them and I never tire of them,
Yeah.
you know. And then there are those that, you know, fall in between the tracks somewhere. It's like I'm not a Van Halen fan. Okay, yeah, go ahead, crucify me in the comments below. Um, I'm not saying they're bad. It's just not my thing,
Yeah.
you know. So it's easy for me to say, it's the same old guitar patterns and all the vocals sound the same and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That doesn't give it any credence, as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
just
No.
because it's just not my thing.
Yeah. No,
So,
I get that. I get that.
and I get that, and I get that a lot on X. The one of the things, like I say, obviously I'm a huge music fan,
Yeah.
but one of the things that drives me crazy most is toxic fandom. And there's some. I love the Beatles. I love the Beatles to death, but there's some Beatle fans that I want to reach through the internet and slap them upside the head because
Go on.
they're this kind of fandom, that you can't say anything even remotely critical about either of the four. They never could. They weren't capable of making any mistakes or less than absolutely perfect songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doesn't matter um, how bad or toxic what someone would one of them would make say in the media. It's just come on,
Yeah. No, I
come
get
on,
it. I get it.
you know.
No, yeah. I mean, and there, I was going to add another a fourth category that to your list of categories for albums. There are those albums that you listen to, you just chuck them out the window because you listen
Sure.
to them and you're like, what is this crap? Well, of course, that's
That's right.
my
Not
that's my
everyone loves
list.
not everyone loves Black Midi as much as you do. So, running joke, people, running joke. Let me ask you this, Armando.
I'm a size 32. Go on. No, go on.
Comparison. Comparison.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a happy ending and sowing the seeds of love. Do you think
Everybody loves it. Go ahead.
they're kind of parallel heights? Maybe not perfectly parallel.
If you're asking me which do I prefer,
Hmm.
everybody
Sure.
loves a happy ending.
Okay.
I love the seeds of love. Um,
Hmm.
I do feel that side two drags a little.
Okay.
I do feel that side one of Seeds of Love, first the four tracks, hit out of the park. Boom, 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 boom.
So it's
Knockout.
front loaded. Okay.
Knockout. Uh, you know, Woman in Chains,
Hmm.
Badman song.
Hmm.
Sowing the Seeds of Love.
Hmm.
Advice for the Young at Heart.
Hmm.
That is a four decker sandwich, four level decker sandwich that it's just like you're looking at this. Think of it as the hugest Big Mac you've ever wanted. Look that you're going to try and
Sure.
attack, right?
Sure.
Where do you go first, right?
Hmm.
Like, how do you attack that first? Forgive the food analogies because I'm hungry. But
How do you eat an elephant?
ex-
One bite at a time. Yeah.
exactly. Everybody loves a happy ending. I knew of it obviously when it came out. I've come to the table late,
Hmm.
but there's just so much here. The richness,
Yeah.
the the layers that are here,
Yeah.
the musical subtleties, and the overtness of it.
Mhm.
Yes, I said overtness. Deal with it. Um, and the meshing of both. It's all there
Yeah.
for me.
This the
For me.
sophistication and maturity,
Yeah.
both musically and lyrically, is staggering.
Yeah.
Or you can just listen to it for the grooves,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I think they entered this studio for this album and they thought, you know what? Let's effing go for it.
Yeah.
Let's put in horns. Let's do a string section. Let's do mellotrons. Let's do our, Sergeant Pepper
Yeah.
esque on the
Yeah.
first track,
Yeah.
on the opening track. Let's do all of that in a bag of spicy chips.
Yeah.
And whoever doesn't like it,
Hmm.
you're you're entering with this album. Pardon me for using this, but you're entering a secret world with this album.
Yeah.
Okay? And you laugh, you cry, you get angry, you get depressed, you fall in love, you you have all those emotions wrapped up in those 14 songs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
12 or 14, whichever
Yeah.
version you want. But forgive the tangent, but there you go.
I find it
Yeah.
difficult to
What,
choose one over the other
okay, I was gonna say, what about
because,
you? Yeah.
yeah, I have trouble choosing one over the other because to me they are very distinct from one another.
Yeah.
Whereas I like the sophistication and the maturity of this. I really do like the more playfulness of the Seeds of Love. Um,
Okay.
it's just two different animals. They might as well be from two separate bands in my brain in some ways. Two very incredible bands.
Yeah.
Um, and then like I said, I feel that way. The first album is very different from the second album, which is very different from the third album. Albums four and five, like I said, I kind of group them together, is very different from the ones that came before it. And this one just goes completely bonkers. In a way, it goes backwards, yet it's still three steps forward. And so, which means when the tipping point comes along, they do it again. This is very different from the albums that came before it. It's just
Yeah.
it boggles my mind. As a fan and as a musician, because music, I've tried for years to write music. Um, I do much better with the music part than I do with lyrics. However, um, everything that I've written always sounds derivative of something else because of my influences, my musical influences.
Hmm.
And so, I just leave the writing to someone else and I'll interpret their stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's like I say, the one thing about this band is every album is incredibly unique upon itself, even within Elemental and Raoul's and the Kingdoms of Spain. They're still very specifically individual from one another, you
Yeah.
know.
You're right.
But yeah, it just
What I
it's
just
ugh,
what I just noticed about this band is you can take this is a band that you can take any era, early 80s, late 80s, 90s, 2000s. You can like whatever era you like, whatever you want. You know what I mean? They have such a diverse catalog that there's something here for everybody,
yeah,
you know, to like, or to have something grow on them and then like later on. They're saying with this album, this is where we are at. This is where we're at now. Come along for the ride. If you
or
don't
don't.
like it,
Yeah,
or don't. If you don't
yeah,
like it, we'll see you on the next trip around the sun. You know, there was even after the release of this album, they were asked during a press junket for the album, during the press junket, are there any plans for a new album? And Roland Orzabal said, no, not right now.
mhm,
We're not even thinking about that.
mhm,
We don't even have the headspace or the energy to think about
yeah,
because it was such a long hard slog, as they say, in the studio and getting record deals dealt with and whatever. That no, this is where we're at now. Enjoy it. We'll see you
yeah,
soon. Bye.
yeah. We'll let you know. We'll call you.
Yeah, well, your people, our people will call you people. We'll do lunch, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Is there anything about this album um, that you're not wild about? Any aspect of any of the songs?
No,
Okay,
no, I think that, well, and then I'll ask you, I think that this album is perfectly sequenced.
absolutely.
I think that it's n- uh, laid out in such a way that you basically, this is a sonic amusement park because you have all these sights and sounds and smells and textures and colors and stimuli that even when you look at the album cover, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like come into our funhouse. This is a sonic amusement park because you've got all this stuff going on around you and swirling and jumping and coming at you and moving away from you and
hmm,
pulling you in all different directions that you're like, okay, where do we go next? It's like,
yeah,
and by the time you leave with the last track of on the standard version of um, Last Days on Earth, you come out of the amusement park thinking, what did I just experience? And then you have the person that you're with that took you there saying, aren't you glad you came along for the ride?
Yeah,
Let me be your guide to this sonic wonderland, as it were.
sure.
You know, um, enough of those descriptions. But what would
Yeah,
you
now I
change?
have an urge for a corn dog. Thank you,
Oh,
Armando.
oh, I know, I know. I'm sorry about that. But what would you, if anything, on this, what on this album would you change, if anything?
The only thing that I would change is I'm not super enamored with Orzabal's vocals on Closest Thing to Heaven. It the voice is a little um more strained, um a little bit rougher than a lot of his other vocals,
Okay.
which I'm guessing that's what he was shooting for, considering that's what we got, because they're very specific on, what they got. But yeah, it's just a little for his vocals. I like a little bit more of his more solid, less strained. I don't know how to put it into words. But his vocals just very gruff, in that for what the song is. But
Okay.
yeah, but it's not a deal breaker by any means
Okay.
because I love his vocals. You know, he's able to do so many different styles, vocally with his singing. It's just I've always
Effectively.
admired him for that. Yeah.
Effectively, yeah. Oh boy. Okay. I'm emotionally drained after this. Okay, good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it.
There you have it.
Band Spotlight, Tears for Fears, episode 2. Everybody loves a happy ending. Please put down in the comments below your opinion of this album.
Mhm.
And if you can stand our gushing and, or pining over and just, our exuding of affection for this album, please, again, let us know what you think of this album in the comments below.
Yeah.
Maybe this album isn't for you. Maybe you like The Hurting. Maybe you like songs from The Big Chair, Seeds of Love, Raul, Elemental, you know, uh, Tipping
We love
Point.
those too. So
We
yeah.
love this too. And we're going to be doing more spotlight episodes, band spotlights on those albums coming up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But again, we wanted to just take this opportunity to talk about this album and the previous album, Raul, and just give our opinion on a band that we just simply
Yeah.
love and that just more often than not get it right
Yeah.
musically. Please look after yourselves and one another. We're on X. Follow us on X. And we've got more shows coming up with Sagosh and with two of us. And uh, Little Sister's going to be coming back on the show. Yes, to do Outlaws and Heroes. I'm plugging the shit out of this episode. And Bill knows it because he said, "Oh, I got to get my shit together and get that get my we got to get this done." Yes, Bill,
Yeah.
we got to get it done because I promised. There we go. So again, click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Keep yourselves on top of anything that we've got going on. And
Yeah.
again, join us on X because we're on X. And we will see you soon again on the Music Den. Bye for now.